Let's go ahead and get started. We have Hugh here today helping manage the chat. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And whatever he can't answer, I will answer at the end. And then also wanted to point out that we have caption availability, so we'll get that set on. Awesome, thank you so much. And I'm going to start today's presentation with some financial aid updates for you all, and then the last 10 to 15 minutes, I'll hand it over to Richard to go over his section. So for today, we have a little agenda of what we'll be going over. We're going to start with some overview of the 4 easy steps to cash, where we're at in the 4 easy steps to cash for the upcoming fall and spring semesters. We're going to focus on step 2, which is the student forms. Going to navigate you around that account a little bit. It's a newer format for submitting forms to us. It's hopefully going to be really user-friendly for you all too. And then we're going to talk about the new financial aid offer notification, which is step 3 to review your awards. I think you're really going to enjoy that. I know our current students are going to really enjoy it because it's way more easy to understand than just viewing the awards on your student portal. We're also going to talk about special circumstances. So if your financial aid, your financial situation has changed since 2019, because that's the tax information that's being used on the FAFSA or DREAM Act. We'll talk about the appeal process for how you can explain those circumstances to us for a reevaluation of financial aid. Then we're going to talk about maintaining financial aid, because just because you get it the first year doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get it for the consecutive years after that. So there are some things that you as a student need to be aware of in order to maintain financial aid each semester. And then finally, we'll end with some resources, navigating our website and answering any questions that you all might have. Alrighty, so the 4 easy steps to cash. Hopefully by now you are a little bit more familiar with the 4 easy steps. It always starts with step 1, which is to apply. Our priority deadline is March 2nd, which is the Cal Grant deadline. So that March 2nd deadline has now passed. So that means that students who are completing the DREAM Act, if you're undocumented, you're no longer eligible to apply for the Cal Grant, but we still recommend that you submit that DREAM Act application just so that we have that on file for you. If you are eligible to complete the FAFSA, it is still open for you to complete. It's actually open throughout the academic year. So it's not too late to submit the 21 to 22 year application if you haven't done that yet. We do have Zoom sessions happening, and I'll be going over those resources a little bit later on. Step 2 is where the bulk of our students are right now for next year, and that is to submit forms. So students have been notified via their to-do list in the Message Center, and you should have also received an email if financial aid is requesting that you submit additional documents to our office. So you want to make sure to continue to monitor your My Cerritos Student Center to-do list for any items and follow up. Priority deadline to complete step 2 is April 30th. So that's just around the corner. That will ensure that we have a financial aid award available for you so that your funds can start dispersing the first week of school. Step 3 is where some of our students might be if they've already completed step 2 by submitting forms, or if they weren't required to submit forms. So not everyone has to complete step 2. It's only if you have to-do list items for financial aid. And so if you don't have any to-do list items, you should have received your initial financial aid offer notification that comes via email now. And as I mentioned, it's a new notification, and I'll be showing you a little bit later in the slides what that looks like. Right now, at this point, we are only awarding Pell Grant and the Promise Grant, which is the fee waiver. And that's because the Cal Grant funding, we don't get our roster until July usually. So we'll be continuing to add and evaluate students' eligibility for additional aid throughout the summer. Students will be fully awarded by the time school starts in the fall, as long as they've submitted all required documents. Another thing I want to point out is if you miss the priority deadline to submit your forms by April 30th, that doesn't mean that you won't get your financial aid in time for school, but it's just a reminder to students that during summer, it's our busiest time of year. So it can take up to 4 to 6 weeks to process documents. So that's why we want to make sure you get those submitted to us as soon as possible. And then the last step, which we are not there yet, is to receive your disbursements. And the reason we're not there yet is because we can't disperse financial aid until school starts for the fall term. So right now we're still working with our summer courses. If you're enrolling in summer as a new student, for example, we're still working on awarding summer. So we won't be dispersing fall financial aid until August when school starts. So let's look a little bit deeper into step 2. Like I mentioned, this is where most of our students are at. So you've already done step 1, which is to submit your FAFSA or your DREAM Act, and now you're on to step 2. If you have not received an email about needing to submit anything to our office, it's always a good idea to check your to-do list anyways. You want to see if you have any pending financial aid tasks to complete, or we might be requiring that you create a ed plan. So if you have completed enough units to be required to have an ed plan on file, you'll receive that notice. As first year students coming in from high school, you don't need to have an ed plan yet. You would just need to complete any pending financial aid tasks or any other items listed in your to-do list. You would follow the link from your to-do list in order to create your student forms account. So once you're in your to-do list on your MyCerritos, you're going to follow the link and then it'll say, click here to submit your required tasks. From there, it will take you to the student forms account creation site, which is what you see on the right-hand side. We launched student forms in 2020, actually, just as the pandemic was hitting us. And it was a blessing and a curse, right? So we had to learn this new system. It's still not fully integrated into our system. And I'll kind of talk about those things a little bit later on. But it does allow students to submit forms online so that you don't have to come into our office. We're not even in the office yet, right? So hopefully we're getting things back in summer. We'll be on campus to some capacity in the fall. But in the meantime, you can actually submit all your documents over the student forms portal. When you follow the link to first create your account, it's really important that you're using your legal first and last name, date of birth, and either social security number or DREAM Act ID number. And that is because your account is being created based off of the information that you submitted in the application. So you need to make sure that all the spelling of your first and last name is matching what you submitted on your file, or else we're not going to be able to create your account. You'll see an error code 1010 if you're entering information incorrectly. So if you get an error code 1010, that just means that you're not using the same spelling that you used in your application, and you'll need to probably follow up with us if you're not able to get your account created. Any other error code, you'll want to make sure to reach out to us as soon as possible. As I mentioned, it's not fully integrated into our system yet. So there are some technical glitches that we are encountering. It's always best if you get stuck in anything, follow up with our office and we can help you out. So once you create your account, if you have tasks, it will look something like this. So some students, if you've applied for 2 years of the FAFSA or DREAM Act, you'll have 2 tabs up at the top. You may not need to complete items for both of those tabs. As you continue to apply for financial aid for consecutive years, you'll start to see other tabs pop up here as well. So it's important to make sure you're under the right academic year for the items you need to complete. Now, as I mentioned, not everybody will need to submit documents. So students who would need to follow up with pending financial aid tasks would be if you did not provide a parent signature on your FAFSA or DREAM Act, if your application was selected for verification, which is the process that requires us as a campus to verify the information you submitted. If there's inconsistent information, so for example, if you on your FAFSA said that your parents are married, but then when they filed taxes, they filed head of household, that's inconsistent, right? Because you can't file head of household if you're married. So we may ask for some additional clarification before we can evaluate your financial aid eligibility. And then finally, the last one, which tends to be one of the most common to-do list items for our high school seniors, is the high school completion proof of graduation task. And for that one, because you haven't yet graduated from high school, you wouldn't be able to submit that task yet. So if you do have a proof of high school completion task in your to-do list, be aware that you'll want to make sure to follow up with us by the end of June. Usually, if you have submitted your proof of graduation by June to financial aid, we'll be able to package your awards and have it ready by the time fall starts. I see a question in the chat. What happens if a parent doesn't want to sign the FAFSA or if a parent is unable to offer a signature? Good question. Typically, so how FAFSA tells our office to handle these situations is that a parent is required to provide that signature. We don't have the option to waive that requirement always. However, if it's a special circumstance, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, there may be an opportunity for a student to appeal their dependency status and allow them to submit the financial aid application without parent information. It does happen, it is rare, and it will require some additional documentation to be submitted. So definitely want to follow up with our office if you find yourself in that kind of situation.
Can I ask a quick follow-up?
Yes.
Now, sometimes parents are resistant to sign because maybe their status might be undocumented. And there's always a fear of like, well, should I sign this? Should I not? Am I putting myself at risk? Can you maybe touch upon that just to bring some comfort to our students that are here, maybe parents if they're here?
Yeah, definitely. Good question. Yes. So as far as citizenship status and, having that, especially for our students who are undocumented or who have parents who are undocumented, rest assured that anytime you're providing that kind of information to financial aid, we keep it secure and it will never be shared with ICE or any other entity. It's strictly only being used for financial aid purposes. So we do not release your status to any other department or organization. We are only utilizing this information to award financial aid to you. So if you do have that kind of concern and you want to kind of talk through that more or have your parent talk with us, feel free to reach out. We would be more than happy to accommodate, because we really want you to feel comfortable in what you're doing. And we also want to make sure you're being offered your full eligibility of resources while you're attending. Does that help, Richard? Okay, cool. All righty. So once you've submitted your tasks, the next step would be to receive your financial aid awards. As I mentioned, during our busy times, it can take 4 to 6 weeks to process your documents. So during that time, you do want to continue to monitor your email and your student portal. And then once you see those to-do list items fall off, that's when you know, okay, my financial aid package should be coming up in the next week or so. We award financial aid over the weekend. So usually it will show up in your email the earlier part of the week. In the past, you used to have to log into your My Cerritos Student Center in order to view your awards. But with this new financial aid offer notification, it's actually going to come to you via email. And you'll need to click on the link shown here. It'll say your financial aid awards. Once you click on that, it's going to open your award. And so what I've done is I'm kind of breaking it out into different sections so we can take a little bit of a deeper look into it with you. But at the top, you're going to notice that it'll give you your direct costs. These are based on a $46 tuition rate or enrollment fee per student, and it's multiplied by 14 units of enrollment. We assume that students are going to be enrolling full-time when receiving financial aid. So it's important to understand that when your financial aid is packaged, it's not going to be packaged based on what you think you're going to be enrolling in. It's going to be packaged based on full-time enrollment. Then if you end up being a part-time student, let's say you're only taking 6 units or 9 units, that's when we will reevaluate your eligibility and disperse only the aid that you're eligible for. So during that time, again, it's important to continue to monitor your financial aid if you're adding and dropping classes during the add drop deadline period. So like the first 2 weeks of the term. These are estimated costs because at this point when you're awarded, usually enrollment is not finalized. So as I mentioned, we've already started awarding for the fall semester, fall and spring of next year, but you haven't yet enrolled in your classes. So again, we're basing it off of full-time enrollment. Okay, the next section is indirect costs. These are based off of the cost of attendance budget. So every campus, every college or university has to create what's called a cost of attendance budget. And what that budget is, it's basically they're trying to figure out, each campus is trying to figure out how much could a student potentially have to spend during a full academic year if they attend our school. So they need to take into account transportation costs, room and board costs, personal expenses like toiletries, clothing, things like that, and books and supplies. These are all possible expenses a student might have. In the indirect cost section, though, we say it's indirect because you're not paying these directly to the campus. So Cerritos College will never directly charge a student for these expenses. These are just an estimate so that students understand what it might cost in order for them to attend our college for a full academic year. I would say that for community colleges, this section isn't usually as important because a lot of times students are living at home. Their living situation might not change a whole lot from high school to community college, but especially once you are looking at four-year colleges, or maybe you're already kind of considering a four-year, you really want to pay attention to that section because a lot of the times in that case, you want to live on campus, you want to live near campus, have roommates, things like that. So a lot of it tends to be more about like having that college experience, but it does come with a price tag. After the indirect cost section, then you're going to see your grants and scholarships. And so this is the big important section for you all. And it's great because there is additional information that we're providing on this new offer notification, including things like these videos. So because this particular student is being awarded a CC Promise Grant, which is our fee waiver, we wanted to give a video. It's an easy 2-minute video to explain that item. Same with the Pell Grant. So this particular student will also see a Pell Grant video populate in the award. Grants and scholarships are gift aid that do not need to be paid back. And we do have some hover technology where you can put your cursor over these items and it will give you some more information. The amounts of these grants are based off of full-time enrollment, as I mentioned. And also, as I mentioned, the CC Promise Grants, if you have an A, B, or C, these are all fee waivers. So they waive your enrollment fees and the grants will never disperse to your Bank Mobile account. That is the only one that is a fee waiver is the CC Promise Grant. All the other grants should be dispersing.
Natalie, can we just distinguish? I know some students here might be participating in Cerritos Complete. And so sometimes there's confusion with the Promise program and then the Promise Grant. I actually got a couple questions in direct box. you maybe just lightly touch upon that just for some students who are thinking they're not going to receive one or the other?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is a big question, and there's a common misconception for students who are in the Cerritos Complete Promise program. They think that, oh, if I drop out of it or if I get removed from it, then I have to start paying out of pocket. The reality is that most of our students in the Cerritos Complete Promise Grant are actually already eligible for that free tuition through the Promise Grant fee waiver. It's only students who have a high EFC. And so background information on EFC, it stands for the expected family contribution. And that's the output from completing the FAFSA or the DREAM Act. So when you submit your application, you actually get an EFC number. And we use that number to award financial aid. Most of our students have a 0 EFC. So they're receiving the Promise Grant fee waiver, the Pell Grant, maybe a Cal Grant if their GPA was high enough, and then they get the refund. If you are a student who has a high EFC, for example, let's say your EFC is 50,000. That's not 0, that's a far way from 0. Those students are the ones that are actually benefiting from the Cerritos College Promise Scholarship. So scholarship is usually merit-based, and that one's not need-based. So those students with the high EFC are getting the scholarship to pay their fees. And so if you're a student sitting here with a high EFC, and then you either are removed or dropped from the Cerritos Complete Promise program, then for future terms, you may have to start paying out of pocket if you're not eligible for any grant funding. It's a very small, as I mentioned, portion of our Cerritos Complete Promise program students. And if you're unsure about where you are, you can always follow up with the financial aid office. And we can kind of explain how your financial aid package might change if you are no longer eligible for Cerritos Complete Promise program. Does that answer that question, Richard?
I think so. And just as a clarifying statement, so is it fair to say that students that maybe never participated in the Promise program, which we call Cerritos Complete, right? They're coming from a school outside of that district, or they just never participated. They might still be eligible for the California Promise Grant, the fee waiver to waive their tuition?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for most of our students, they're actually, who are in the Cerritos Complete Promise program, they are utilizing the same financial aid that they would have gotten even if they weren't in the Cerritos Complete Promise program. The program comes with additional benefits like tutoring and Success Center and all that jazz, which is great. It's fantastic. I love our Cerritos Complete Promise program, but it doesn't always necessarily mean that you're benefiting financially from financial aid just by being in it. Usually you would get that financial aid regardless of being in the program. So good questions. So we talked about the videos. The next thing I want to make sure we touch on is special circumstances. So with the 21 to 22 FAFSA and DREAM Act, which is which you have all hopefully by now have completed for next year, it's utilizing income information from 2019. We all know what happened shortly after 2019. We were hit with this pandemic, and a lot of household incomes have decreased in 2020. Unemployment has been high. Companies are losing money. The economy hasn't been doing as well. All that stuff has been going on. And within financial aid, we do have a process in place to consider things like a reduction of income. So there's 2 appeals that students can submit if they have special circumstances. The first would be the dependency appeal, and this is for students who were considered dependent through the FAFSA or DREAM Act, but due to their circumstances, maybe they don't have maybe they don't have a relationship with their parents, so they're not able to provide that income information on the FAFSA. That's when students will want to follow up with our office to see if they're eligible for a dependency appeal, to reconsider that. The next one would be income reduction appeal. This is for students whose household income situation has changed since the time they submitted the FAFSA information. So as I mentioned, they're using prior tax year. So right now we're using 2019 income information. So if you or your parents have had a loss of income, have had a change of employment, and now they're making less than they were at a previous job, if they have reduction in hours, we can consider all of those things, as well as loss of benefits. Another thing that we can consider that is kind of outside of the realm of income is unexpected family or unexpected medical expenses for the household. So again, with COVID, if you had additional medical expenses, that's something that we can also consider. Even if it wasn't COVID related, let's say, you know, a family member in your household has cancer, for example, and they have high medical bills from that, we can consider that in the appeal process. We will have to request additional documentation to be submitted, but we definitely recommend following up with our office. And it's an easy process that you as the student can initiate. So on the right-hand side, you'll see these are the steps for requesting an appeal. You would log into that student forms account. You click on the request button, and then you just toggle on and off which appeals you would like to submit. When you do your initial request, you want to make sure to explain your situation as best as you can, and then a tech will follow up with you to request additional documentation. Sorry, my slides are a little weird. That should not say special circumstances. We're actually going to talk about satisfactory academic progress now. I apologize. So satisfactory academic progress is a policy that campuses have to maintain in order to continue to offer financial aid to students. So at Cerritos College, we have 3 items that make up our SAP requirement, satisfactory academic progress. The first is to maintain a cumulative GPA of 2.0. The second is to maintain a cumulative unit completion rate of 67%. What that means is of all the classes you're attempting or you register for, if you drop anything after the add drop deadline, or if you don't pass that class, it starts to count against you. And if you drop below completing 67% of your units that you take, and that's cumulative, then you would no longer be meeting SAP. And then the final one, which we don't see as often, I would say the unit completion rate has been the most popular one lately that students have not been meeting, most likely due to the move to virtual learning. It's been very difficult for students. It would be difficult for me, I know that. But the maximum time frame requirement is the last one, and that one is you have to complete your program within 150% of the time that is posted. So if you're in a 2-year program, for example, you can take up to 3 years to complete that program, but anything over that, you would no longer be eligible for financial aid. So SAP is really what it is in order to continue to offer you financial aid, we need to make sure that you are completing your educational goals in a timely manner. And that's how we follow your progress. So as I mentioned, the unit completion rate, because of COVID and students dropping classes when we went to virtual learning and things like that, we do have some more consideration for our current students. We notify students each semester of their SAP status. So after the end of the term, when grades are due, sorry, I have a noisy cat over here. You get a notice in your message center, which is on your student portal, letting you know what your SAP status is after your last term. So as a new student, you don't have to worry about SAP, but this is maintaining your financial aid for future terms you need to worry about your SAP. So being aware that you need to maintain a 2.0 GPA to continue receiving financial aid and maintain a unit completion rate of at least 67%. Usually those two things are the main ones that our students are missing. So if you're doing that, then you should be continuing to meet SAP each term. So what happens if you don't meet SAP? The first notice will be that you are placed on warning. And if you're placed on warning for a term, it means that you'll still continue to receive your financial aid for that term, but not future terms if you continue to not meet SAP. So let's say you were put on warning for spring, and now you're getting ready to enroll for fall. And so you were put on warning for spring, you would still get your financial aid for spring. But if you don't get your GPA over 2.0 and your unit completion rate over 67% and your maximum time frame in line, then you're going to be put on disqualification. So then in fall, when you're on disqualification, you would not get your financial aid anymore. You would need to appeal that decision. Our office will review your appeal and then determine if we're able to grant you approval, which would then reinstate your financial aid. Or if you're denied, it would be something like, oh, your GPA is below a 2.0. You'll have to get it above a 2.0 before we can start offering financial aid. And so hopefully that would only take, one additional semester if you're working hard and staying on top of things and going to tutoring to get that GPA and unit completion rate up over the satisfactory status so that you can continue to receive financial aid. We have additional steps for appealing your SAP status on our website at the link provided at the bottom. You'll also, as I mentioned, you'll be notified at the end of each term of your SAP status, and there will be a link to appeal that decision in your message center. All right, we have one more slide before I can open it up to questions, and that is our Falcon's Nest. So when talking with students about financial aid, we understand that sometimes financial aid that you're receiving is just not enough to cover your basic needs. And so Cerritos College here, we're a family, we're a community. We want to make sure that our students have the resources in order to be successful while attending school. So Falcon's Nest is a great resource for you if you are experiencing food insecurity, housing insecurity, if you need hygiene support, financial support. So if you're just not able to cover all the bills that you have right now, we do have some additional support for you. We also have clothing that we can provide if you need additional clothing, especially professional clothing. I know that we have a program on campus to offer professional clothes. And then we also are able to make on and off campus referrals through the Falcon's Nest. So we team up with Hovenius. If you're familiar with our newer village on campus, where we're able to offer housing to students who are at risk of being homeless. We're actually the first campus, I believe, in California to be able to offer that at a community college level. So please reach out to us if you find yourself in need of this kind of support. We have a intake form, or it's a referral form. If you follow the link provided here, cerritos.edu/basic-needs, you'll find the referral form, and that can just help us to understand your circumstances, and then somebody from the Falcon's Nest would reach out to you. All righty. So I can go ahead and open it up to questions if there's any questions.
There was one student that messaged me and was wondering, they were confused about units. So I just want to clarify that units is very similar to like high school credits, right? So, you get each course is worth a certain amount. In college, we use units. So most classes are probably 3 units, which means you'll be in class about 3 hours, or you'll be doing course for about 3 hours each week. Some classes are 4 units. So when financial aid says full-time is considered 12 units, That could be 3 to 4 classes. It just depends on each course. Um, I think that answers the question, hopefully.
Yeah, that's how I would answer it.
And then I know some of you are still confused about the Promise Grant and if you're receiving it or not. Uh, you're not going to be on your own, right? You know, financial aid is communicating with you through what needs to be submitted, and sometimes it's taking one step at a time. Sometimes we don't know what you're eligible for until you turn in those documentations, as Natalie went over. So if you follow the process, things will clear up. I know it seems daunting right now because you're all new. This might be the first time you submitted your own forms. We are here to help you through that. So right, contact the financial aid department. Or follow the process, and then you'll be able to communicate. And if there ever is an issue, our financial aid staff is here to support you.
Thank you. Yes. And I went ahead and dropped our link to our website in the chat. You're going to want to bookmark it. So open that link, bookmark it in your web browser. You're going to thank me later, because I know at some point while you're at Cerritos College, you're going to need to reach out to us, or something's going to come up that you're going to be like, oh, I remember Natalie mentioned it in her presentation, but I can't remember where to appeal. It's all on our website. And then if you can't find the answer there, we have our Zoom links on our homepage. So we have our general Zoom links. We're there every day, not every day, but Monday through Friday. And then we also have our FAFSA DREAM Act sessions Monday through Friday all day. So, there's no reason to not reach out to us, especially because it usually comes with some money at the end. So any other questions before I hand it over to Richard? Y'all are awfully quiet. It's early, it's Friday, I understand. All righty, well, I will be here, but I'm gonna hand it over to Richard to take over. Thank you all.
Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate that. I know it's hard when the audience, when screens are off, but I also understand, right? Some of us aren't ready to engage. Background sometimes is busy. Some of you might be in pajamas. I'm in my bottom pajamas right now, so I understand. My name is Dr. Richard Lewis Garcia. I am a specialist with the Extended Opportunities Programs and Services. That is a very long, technical, and boring name, so we go by EOPS. Today, I'm going to present the EOPS program. I'm going to touch upon 2 other programs that are associated with us, the CARE program and the LINK program, and also kind of touch upon support for students that are undocumented. There's not a specific program for that, so I'm going to touch on lightning and see how you can get involved in some of these programs to get support. So we'll touch upon all these. Just to get started, so EOPS is a state-funded program. That means every California community college has an EOPS department to help students. Our program is designed to provide support to students that are facing academic and educational barriers. There's not an income requirement to join, but there kind of is. So in order to join our program, a student does need to qualify for Promise Grant A or B. Natalie was talking about earlier. So there's depending on your household size and how much money your family is making will determine if you're going to be eligible for a program or not. I don't want you to worry about that. Someone like me is going to check all that out for you, and we'll give you your answer. You don't have to worry about that. But the great thing is that our program offers a variety of services that are going to help you be successful in college, and the entire bill is paid by California. There is no cost for you to join. We have about 1,200 students within our program. We cap our program at 1,200 because we want to make sure that all the services that we have are available to you, and that you're not going to run into an issue where you can't get an appointment or you don't receive a grant. We make sure that there's enough services for you to dive into and get quality services every year, every semester. We practice what we call a high touch approach. That means we are going to be in contact with you frequently and often. Our goal is to make you feel comfortable at school, to help you be informed, to answer any questions that you don't know. We understand that coming to college can be intimidating, right? There's a lot of process and structures that are in there, and you may not know all that. You're not an expert at being at the college system. That's not your job. Your job is to be a student. So my job is to be the expert and to provide those answers to you as you need them. So you'll be able to reach out to someone like me, reach out to an academic counselor, know what classes you need, things like that. And we practice an equity-minded approach. So I stated earlier, right, we are here to support students that are facing academic and educational barriers, and that can mean a lot of different things. Just to give you some insight, EOPS was founded in 1969, and we were a response to the civil rights movement. Our goal was to provide access to education for students that typically did not have it. And so that's kind of embodies who we are and how we service our students. Now, the way we help you through your journey is by offering you a set of comprehensive services to help you be successful in college. So we offer services like academic counseling so that you know exactly what classes you need, how to figure out what your major is, determine what colleges you want to go to, what do you want to graduate in, do you want to get a certificate, what jobs are out there for me within my field. Our counselors are going to be able to help you with all that. When you meet with our counselors, we're going to create what we call a comprehensive educational plan, which means we're going to list out every single class you need for your entire time at Cerritos College. And in our program, you meet with a counselor 3 times every fall and spring semester. So you'll always have an up-to-date plan. You'll always know what to do next. You'll always know, stay on top of your educational journey. And then we also want you to be able to get into those classes. So I'm kind of jumping and I apologize, I have my bracket here wrong. But we also offer priority registration, which means we're going to let you pick your classes first before anybody else. That way you get the classes you need and even at the times that you need. Because as you're coming to school, if you don't already have already, right, you might be end up picking up jobs, you might have volunteer activities, you might, have other priorities that you need to manage. And what time you go to school is going to be important too, right? For the first time, you're not going to have a structured time where people tell you this is the time you need to go to school. You're going to be able to choose your own schedule, and we'll help you with that. We also want to provide grants. So we have textbook support where you can help you with your textbooks and we provide funding for that. We have like a lending library program. We also offer academic grants so you get additional money on top of the financial aid for you to use at your discretion. We understand that sometimes, you might be sharing multiple school devices at home, right? Or maybe you don't have the best Wi-Fi access. We have our own computer lab at our office. We have our own study space, so you'll be able to use all that once we come back to campus. We offer support with transfer. And then once again, you get access to somebody like me to help guide you through what services are available. If you are interested in the EOPS program, I have a QR code here in the corner, which you could just scan your phone. It'll take you straight to the page that talks about joining us, and you'll be able to submit your request. You can always just type in EOPS into the Cerritos College search engine, or just Google Cerritos College EOPS, and it'll take you straight to our website. So it doesn't matter if you're not sure if you're eligible, just submit an interest and someone like me is going to reach back out to you and let you know either you're eligible, you're not eligible, what are all the services and what are your next steps. I also want to inform you about the Summer Bridge program. And this is good for individuals like you that are going to be graduating high school soon. And congratulations, by the way, and that are looking to get into college. For some of you, you might be sort of nervous, right? This is you're making the jump from high school to college. There's a transition, new structures that you need to understand, meet new people, and we understand that can be intimidating. Our Summer Bridge program is designed to help students transition from high school to college. So if anybody feel like they could use the support of extra guidance, right? Someone kind of walking them through all their processes, there to answer any questions that they have, seeing a counselor often, and then building community, right, with other classmates and other people that work in a specific office, this is going to be the right program for you. It is a 6-week program, so you'll be taking 2 college courses, Counseling 200 and Library 100. Now, these courses are going to be online, so you'll be able to take other classes if you want to. You'll be able to schedule work, things like that. You'll be doing more videos and modules, but individuals like me are going to be available to support you as you go through it. We only have room for 30 students in this program. As of right now, I have about 55 people that express interest. About 25 of them are actually eligible right now. So there's only a little bit more room. So if you're interested, please scan this code and it'll take you to the interest form. And then I will get back to you and let you know if you're eligible. This one's filling up really fast. So if you are interested, you want to move fast on this one. So you'll see the QR code, or you could just Google Cerritos College EOPS Summer Bridge. It'll take you straight there. Another program, associating program of ours is Cooperative Agencies Resources for Education. This is our program for students that have child dependence, right? It's for single parents that are receiving support from CalWORKS or TANF. If you have no idea what CalWORKS or TANF is, or if you don't have any children, this program doesn't apply to you. But if it's something that you feel applies to you, and this may not apply to you now, but maybe later down the road, something to just keep in mind. So this is our care program. If you're interested in this, more information can be given to you from our care facilitator, and we'll give you more information if you express interest. We also have our leaders involved in creating change program. This is for our students that are current or former foster youth. So if you're in the foster care system, we understand that the support may not always be the same as other students that are coming in. So we have specialized program to help support students as they go through their academics. It's very similar to EOPS. It is a separate program from EOPS in the exact same office. Students that are former foster youth tend to be in both EOPS and LINK. It's a great program. If you're eligible, then there's a lot of great services for you. If you try to join EOPS and you indicate that you're current from former foster youth, I will direct you to Dr. Linda Ramos, who's a facilitator for this program. I'm not going to go into EOPS image, but I did kind of want to show you the faces of who you'll be working with. So if you join the Summer Bridge program or EOPS, these are your staff that are here committed to supporting you as you go through your college education. Now, EOPS is a structured program. Not everyone is eligible. So your first thing is to express interest. However, once you get in, we're going to walk you through and through the process. We'll be here every step of the way throughout your academic journey to help support you. It is a great program. I do want to touch upon something. I know we're running out of time, but I do want to touch upon something quickly. For students that are undocumented, you might be eligible for EOPS still, as long as you qualify for the California Dream Act. So if you qualify for the California Dream Act, then you may still be eligible for EOPS. So there's not a restriction on that. EOPS is a good way to receive services and support as you go through your academics. We know that what's available to students that are undocumented isn't the same as other students. So we want to provide support, and EOPS is a good way to get through that. Lincoln Care is a good way to get through that. However, if you're not eligible for EOPS, maybe you decide, for one reason or another, I still encourage you to contact me because I'm one of our Undocu Ally liaisons. So I can help direct you towards services. So we have a group of committed individuals that are providing support for students that are undocumented. We have counselors. There is resources that we could provide you and information we give you. We are currently working, the campus is working on hiring a staff member to be able to provide support. In a few years, we'll have a building as well. So a dedicated space, but that might be beyond your time here at Cerritos College. So for now, just make sure that you contact me and I can reach out to you all. And I'm going to put my email inside the chat box. With that, I don't want to take too much of your time, but if anyone has any questions, I'm here for, hopefully I can answer them. And if you don't feel comfortable unmuting yourself or asking a question, you can send me a direct message in the chat box. You just want to make sure where it says everyone, click on the link and look for Richard Garcia or Garcia Richard, and then you can send it to me directly. And then I can answer your question, probably. Thank you for attending today. As we wait to see if any chat comes in, we appreciate it, and congratulations on your journey of starting. Not everyone comes here, so we look forward to having you. Hugh, do I pass it on to you?
Sure. So everyone, whoever wants to go to the third section, please go ahead. Third section should be starting roughly in 7 minutes, if I'm correct. So if you're interested in going to third section, you can do so now.